Bronco Billy was released in 1980, the year of my birth. It is directed by Clint Eastwood, who also stars in the film, with Sondra Locke, again, the fifth of their pairings together, or fourth, depending on, I can't remember whether this came out before or after any which way, but either way, same year. The film follows Eastwood's character, Bronco Billy, as he heads up a travelling circus. It's more like a Western show. I don't really know what other name you would give to it, but it's kind of like a circus with a Western vibe. So yeah, they're an act. They go on the road and they're just trying to survive, basically. They're trying to keep themselves afloat. At the start of the film, we have Bronco Billy kind of running a new assistant through the starting block, so to speak, kind of putting her through the ropes and doing her first show. She's very nervous, she's not great at it, and there's a little bit of a mishap with a throwing dagger, which is quite amusing, to say the least. Just the look on Eastwood's face during that scene and many more besides, it's absolutely priceless. We get this newly married woman called Antoinette Lilly, played by Sondra Locke, who is really unhappy. She doesn't want to be in the marriage she's in. She's very rich, very spoilt. She doesn't have a particularly great life because she knows that the people that are around her are really after her money. So she's kind of isolated in this world of privilege. So yeah, she gets ditched by her husband, who's kind of finally had enough, because she makes it absolutely clear she doesn't really like the guy, let alone love him, and he swans off. But when she gets kind of caught up with this circus, this travelling act, and becomes a part of them, and doesn't return home, her husband is accused of murdering her and doing away with the body and goes to prison. And so that's really the setup. It's one of those films where I think pretty much from the get-go, you're not going to be like having any surprises as to where it goes. It's that typical kind of fish out of water story where you get someone who's high class, privileged, looks down on this group of lower class kind of travelling folk, and then becomes part of their family, is won over by their family dynamics and becomes a part of it, and misses it when it's gone. And it's just, yeah, you know where it's heading with regards to certain characters and certain outcomes. But as I've said in previous reviews with anything like that, it's all in the execution. I found this film to be really beautiful and really beautifully executed. Now I will just mention, this may sound like I'm a record stuck on repeat. This is yet another film with Sondra Locke and Clint Eastwood in which some men attempt to assault Sondra Locke's character. Sexually, physically, and then Eastwood has to stop them and teach them a lesson in machismo, and it's just like, it's a bit, yeah. You do, when you watch a lot of films, particularly from like one genre back to back, in history, or from one particular filmmaker or one particular actor, you do start to notice patterns that perhaps you didn't notice before. And that is I wouldn't say troubling, but it is bizarre that Eastwood kind of puts himself constantly in this position of being this man who saves women from rapists and gives them a good old slap around. And it's just, yeah, it's that male fantasy thing, I guess, that was around for people of a certain age, it's all I'll say is it's just a bit weird that we've had that dynamic in almost every kind of pairing of these two actors. That aside, this is just really a wonderful kind of look at this disparate group of characters who are all kind of lovely in their own ways. They've all got faults, they've all got foibles and failings. They've come together maybe because the world has cast them aside, but Bronco Billy has kind of welcomed them in with open arms and accepted them as part of his family. And it is that theme that Eastwood is revisiting, that he's kind of touched on in previous films. You know, like most recently I watched The Outlaw Josie Wales, which kind of had that vibe about it. And to some extent the Loose films as well. Yeah, it's that notion of choosing your family, of picking up stragglers and strays and bringing them in and making them your own. It's a film about recognising what you have in the people that you have around you, the friendships, the family. It's a funny film. It's a heartfelt film. Like I say, I felt really attached to the characters. I liked them. I liked this family unit. I kind of wanted to be part of it. Geoffrey Lewis is also in this film. Obviously, he worked with Eastwood and Locke in Every Which Way But Loose and Any Which Way You Can. And yeah, completely different here. He's a bit of a slime ball, bit of a scumbucket, but kind of comedic as well. He's a bit pathetic in many ways. He's a very pathetic character, although I do have a certain level of sympathy for him. You know, at the start of the film, he is trying to be warm to his wife. He is trying to kind of turn her on and be a husband, and she's just not having any of it. To be perfectly honest, I'm kind of on his side at the beginning. When he decides to run away, I'm like, yeah, I kind of don't blame you, to be honest. But then there's a certain choice he has to make at one point in the film where he can just be open and honest or take some money. And he takes the money, and it's that kind of separates the men from the boys, and he proves to be a boy. Eastwood himself, I think, has never been more lovable as a character here. He has, like I say, this warmth about him. Like, you can see that he really treats what he's doing as something special that gives to people. You know, there's many times throughout the film where we see that he's done freebies. Him and his team have done freebies for like prisoners and convents and places like that, where they've put on free shows for kids and people who are disadvantaged. So you see the charity in this man's heart, which is not really something you expect from Eastwood. You know, this is the Outlaw Josie Wales. This is Dirty Harry. This is Coogan. You know, this is a man who's throughout his entire career has played hard men who, don't waste words and get straight to the point and can be quite physical. And here he's thinking about the kids, and he's trying to teach them right, and he's trying to do the right thing by everyone. There's a nice little nod here as well to Every Which Way But Loose, when Geoffrey Lewis's character is climbing up the side of this building and a security guard kind of walks underneath him and he's whistling the theme song to Every Which Way But Loose. So I would highly recommend Bronco Billy, obviously, given my thoughts on the film. I found it really heartwarming. It's what you call a genuine feel-good movie. You come away from it just feeling better about life. And if that's the kind of movie you enjoy watching, then get on it if you've not seen it. And maybe don't let Eastwood's usual image kind of put you off if that's not your thing, because I think this kind of goes against the usual image that Eastwood set for himself. If you have seen Bronco Billy, then I'd like to know what you thought about it. So please let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below on this film. Do you prefer your Eastwood movies to be a bit more kind of Dirty Harry-esque, or do you like seeing Eastwood stepping out of his usual framework? Thank you for watching this video, and until next time, cracking.